Here at SportsWorld 2020, it is our desire to be the best at what we do. Within the next few weeks, we vow to bring to you a professional sporting forum. Your host, two-time Olympian Khadevis Robinson, will be conducting brief interviews that are relative to operational, mental, psychological, and financial issues relevant to all sports. SportsWorld 2020 is an A-plus stellar collaborative space authenticating and supporting all athletes as we work to strengthen the efforts of amateur elites and professional athletes across the globe. If you would like to be a part of our sporting initiative, please connect with us at SportsWorld 2020 via Facebook at SWorld 2020. I'm welcoming to you guys Steve Lewis and Khadevis Robinson back into Facebook Live room. We had some issues with a few of the video content, but we are back. Today's topic, developing the mindset of a champion. Welcome, guys.
How you doing?
Hello.
It is a pleasure having you here. So I've wasted some time because I was having some issues with video, so I'm going to jump right into today's interview. And the topic, again, developing the mindset of a champion. Now, both of you gentlemen are former Olympic athletes. Can you educate our live audience on strategies you've utilized to become the best athlete of your sport? Of course, focusing on the developmental aspects.
Steve, you can go first.
Well, it's all of us are athletes. We have some sort of an inner ability to do certain things, right? You can have all the ability in the world, but if you don't use it, it goes to waste. So there's a phrase that say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I started running track and competing when I was 9 years old for a local club in Los Angeles where I'm from called the Los Angeles Jets. And, early on, I realized in order to be the best, I had to work hard. And, we trained at Crenshaw High School, which there was a dirt track on sunny days and rainy days when there was mud and what have you. So, my goal was to always stay in front because I didn't want anyone kicking mud in my face. And so, from that point, I've always been a front runner. And, I figured if I lead the way, I'll always have great results. So, and also being confident was important, not cocky, right? Confidence has less to do with wanting to be successful and more to do with knowing that you have to be. So I go about my day as an athlete and even in life, in business, just being confident, knowing my stuff and then going out there and trying to perform well.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Steve made a good point. He talked about being confident and cocky. And it's a quote that says, people that don't know the difference between confidence and cockiness are doomed to always be intimidated by confident people. So you have to know the difference between confidence and cockiness. And the confidence comes from putting the work in. It comes from really believing in yourself and training hard. So I think that's one thing he spoke about is it is a mindset.
By all means. Now, you've both showcased innovative passion for community leadership. Khadevis, you've acquired a bachelor's degree in social work that substantiates your mission to bring in fitness to youths within the community. And for Steve, your work includes developing exercise and fitness regimen programs for kids, weekend warriors and professional athletes. How important is community leadership in developing the mindset of a champion?
All right.
I think Steve spoke about how he came from Crenshaw, so you're in a very specific neighborhood, right? And so I come from the inner city, right? So it's like we're trying to find a way to get a better life. We're trying to find a way to get out. We're trying to find a way to we know we have something in us. We don't know what that is when you're young, but it's something. And you want to express that. And so you find out very quickly that through your community, that's kind of where all your, for lack of a better word, fans. Because I had friends that's from the hood that are the most gangster of the gangster. But, man, I tell you, they had my back 100%. And they would say, hey, KD, man, don't do that because, you're going to be that runner, man. You're going to be that guy that makes it, So that's a part of the community that you don't see on TV or social media that really supports you and helps you, you know, really build and really support other areas of your life.
How about you,
just
Steve?
to echo what he said. So, I mean, I grew up in South Central LA, and, you know, there are different sides to any community, right? But the South Central that I knew was people wanting to do well by themselves and in the community. And so that's what I took away. I took that away when I competed abroad and I competed internationally. That's the South Central that I took with me. Now, of course, like Khadevis said, there are other sides. I mean, I knew a lot of people I grew up with that were on the other side. They were actually competing with me in sports, just as talented as I was, but they chose different paths. And some were in prison, some not here today, but some did other sports, and some were successful businesses and other things. So I think it's important to surround yourself with people that are passionate as you are about being successful. And you're about as good as the company you keep. I competed with the Santa Monica Track Club, a lot of great athletes competed with me on Santa Monica Track Club, and just the community of my teammates, right? We wanted to project something that was positive so that those that looked at us said, wow, I want to be like them. Wow, I want to be like Khadevis Robinson. I want to go out there. I want to travel the world, right? So, we lead by example, and I have no problem with doing that. And actually, I have no problem with being a role model because, I have 2 daughters, and I want them to see me and look at me and say, wow, I want to be like Dad. And I want to follow in his footsteps. So, and that's kind of what community is. I mean, community can be just different sectors, different sections. It's not just about where you're from. It's about the community of people that you're around, people in your workspace. That's the community, and that's the culture.
Yes, it is my belief that community extends beyond the community. That's one of my favorite topics in terms of community itself, because when you say community, people think that, okay, just the persons that reside within the community where you reside, but it goes a little bit more beyond that. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then I'll be back, where Khadevis is going to vibe one-on-one with Steve Rose by asking him or by interviewing him on various subjects, again, as it pertains to the mindset of the champion. Here at SportsWorld 2020, we aim to please. Yes, we do not disappoint. If you wish to be a part of our sporting initiative, kindly reach out on Facebook via SWorld 2020. Our weekly interviews are also available on the SportsWorld 2020 podcast platform. Check us out. Also, we can be found on various apps such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Google and Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Breaker, Castbox, GeoSavant, Podchaser, Podcaster, Deezer, and Podcast Addict for our Android community. Check us out. Come vibe with us. We are SportsWorld 2020. Welcome back. Khadevis, the floor is yours.
So I want to, Steve and I know each other really, really well. A great friend of mine, to be quite honest with you. He schooled me, him and Johnny and the rest of those guys. Mike Morris schooled me when I first became a professional. They kind of taught me what to do and what not to do. So I like to be real when I ask questions. I know him personally, so he's real. So the first question I have been, how in the world, when you won the Olympic Games in 1988 as a freshman in college, how in the world did you stay focused and not wild out? I mean, you was at UCLA. I'm a freshman in college. I'm an Olympic champion. You can't tell me nothing. I'm wild. And you in LA? I mean, really, how'd you hold it all together?
Man, I got to tell you, teammates, right? So you're right. I was a freshman in college, 19 years old. And I remember going into UCLA, there were already a lot of great athletes there, right? So you got Kevin Young, current world record holder in the 400 meter hurdles, Mike Marsh, Henry Thomas, Danny Everett, Gail D was on the female side, other across the track, Flojo was training, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Andre Phillips. So I had to come with it, I mean, so it was one of those things. I had no choice, and I wanted to go out there and prove myself. And when I entered UCLA, I was a young kid, right? And I'm like, oh, he's young. He's not going to do anything. I said, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I went out there, worked hard every day, trained with, and another thing, Danny, everybody, we trained together. Danny was a world-class athlete in his own right, and he schooled me and brought me in. But, I was just surrounded by, like-minded athletes. We just, wanted to go out there and do our thing. And then I transitioned right after UCLA with Santa Monica Track Club. So going into that first year in '88, I had Carl Lewis. I had at the time Joe DeLoach, Floyd Hurd, Cleveland. There were so many other top, Carol Lewis. There's so many other top athletes. I was the young one, but they took me under their wing. So I just felt empowered because I had all these great athletes around me, and they set the example and set the tone. So, I just remember going out there. You remember in '88, Butch Reynolds was in that 400 meters. He had just broke the world record on Danny and I at Zurich a few months prior. So like, man, I'm hyped. I'm ready to go out here and do it. So I kind of went through those rounds in '88 in Korea, feeling good, first round, second round, and got to that final. I had a pretty good lane. I had Danny and Butch in my inside, and I said, well, you know what? As long as I can come off that curve in front, I got a shot. And, the thing with Butch, if you saw the race, he was coming at the end, but I think, he being in lane 2 and then Danny in lane 3 or 4 and I'm in 6, I don't think Butch saw me. I think Danny kind of blocked away, as a good teammate should, right? And so by the time we got out there, and, it's 400 meters, I made it. If it was 401 meters, I don't know what would have happened, but I ran the perfect race, and, it was great, man. It was just one of those things. I just wanted to go out there and do my thing.
Question: how many times did you beat Danny that year?
That was the first, actually. As a regular race. So we trained together, practiced all year at Pac-10 championships at the time. I set or tied the world junior record. This was in May, and I believe I ran a race in Europe where I broke the world junior record again. Went back to the Olympic trials. And I broke the world junior record a couple more times, but
in those races, did you beat Danny?
No, in none of those races did I. And he beat me in NCs that year. I of course, in the rounds in the Olympics, but we advanced. But as far as finals are concerned, I had never beaten Danny in a race up to that point.
So y'all were teammates. Y'all trained together. He was older than you were, so you kind of looked up to him. He was beating you in all these races, and yet the Olympic final, you beat him in the Olympic final.
Yeah, it came together at the right time.
People need to hear that. People need to hear that sometimes a setback is a setup for a comeback. It's like just because someone's beating you over and over and over again, a delay is not a denial. It doesn't mean that you cannot win the big one, right? It's like you have to keep pushing. What would you say for you if you had to talk to some of the youngsters now and be real? Not, we got enough people. You can be real. We got enough people that kind of tell them the little whatever. What would you say the most important thing about really being successful, not only in track, but in life?
You really have to believe in yourself. And I know that's kind of overstated. And then coming up, you're like, you're too young to do this. I was 19 years old. And I think because of my background, my gritty background, my mother, raised us, me and my siblings by herself. So I saw how she struggled. One of the best pieces of advice I got from anybody was from my mother. It's like, wherever you are in life at the moment, look at where you can go and where you want to be. Next step is just to do the things necessary to get you there. And so, just looking at her, setting that tone, setting that example, I just went out every day thinking about that. Where do I want to be? Right? I look at the big picture, and I've always been that way. It's good to set these great goals, but there are certain things that you can do along the way. And just many successes. Oh, wow, I'm successful here. And eventually you will reach your goal. And the goal really is just be the best that you can be. As long as you do that, you might catch someone slipping on their bad day, right? So I'm going to try to be the best person that I can be every time. And I felt like in '88, I was at my best. And fortunately, I was able to come out victorious.
Hey, the crazy thing is you was around some greats. Carl, Johnny, Danny, Kevin, the whole nine. And I tell people, man, I trained with Johnny Gray when he was 40 years old, and I was just out of college. He used to kick my ass in there. I used to run with you on that hill off of San Vicente, and I'm like, man, these guys are crazy, man. Like, what's going on? So who would you say, honestly, who would you say is they used to tell me some stories about the workouts, but who would you say was the most talented or hardest working? Because I remember I used to train with Johnny, and he'd be running looking back and cussing me out while he's
Yeah. Well, you know, I like to think I was the hardest, but you know what, man? Johnny Gray trained his butt off. I mean, it seems like he was always running, man. That cat, he was probably one of the hardest working athletes that I know, man. He was the guy. Matter of fact, I was with him yesterday. He just turned 60.
His birthday, yeah.
Right. So, man, just happy to see him. But definitely just looking at him, he trained, and we're on the track together. We trained at Santa Monica College together. So, yeah, Johnny probably hardest workers. I'm gonna tell you.
You guys had fun too. When I first got there, I remember we was at a meeting in Norway. Y'all was messing with me, man. I was like, why these dudes messing with me, telling about everything, about girls, about and I'm just meeting you guys. I'm like, man, why y'all keep messing with me about everything, man? I tell people the first time I ran against Johnny, him and Mark Everett was on the track. This is before the race, and they talking to each other on the track. Before we race, I'm gonna race these guys. And Mark said, hey, Johnny, what you finna do? And Johnny said, man, I'm finna go out. And Mark said, you going out fast? Johnny said, yeah, I'm going out fast. So I'm gonna lead it. Mark said, I'm gonna run right behind you. Johnny said, okay. And I'm looking at them like, really? That's the type of stuff you guys used to do, right?
Absolutely, man. I mean, obviously, you have to be serious when you're going out there competing, but, you know, you got to enjoy it as well. You got to enjoy the process, right? So it's not about just being stressful all the time. If you don't enjoy the process, you're not going to really appreciate the rewards, right? You're just going to go work hard, and then really, what's that about, right? So we enjoyed the process, and you know, and they did the same for me when I was younger. When you came on, we just, hey, KD, enjoy the process, man. You know, you got to love it.
Hey, one thing you guys told me that I remember was that I had to be smart with my money. I had to be really conscious on being a professional. And yourself, you have a company. You have, what is it? Oofball, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So you know, I'm all into health and wellness. So a friend of mine, Carrick DeHart, came to me one day. Hey, Steve, I have this company called Oofball, and it's basically a wellness ball. He said, Steve, you want to be a part of it? And I said, all right, I'll help you with it. And it's basically a medicine ball. It has certain characteristics different from a regular medicine ball. So it floats, for example, it's pliable, and you can do different workouts with it that you really couldn't do with other balls. So it's multifunctional, got different weights, different sizes. In fact, we have a couple of teams that, like the Kansas City Chiefs, just bought a bunch of the balls, and Oofball was around years ago, and by my friend Carrick DeHart, his uncle, came up with it. So if you look at some old videos, Michael Jordan used to have an Oofball when they first came out, and he swears by it because it helped him warm up before his games. And now Derrick Rose took that ball and he traveled with it. But you know, it's just having fun with working out. So I do a lot of programs, like I said, in the community where I'll bring the Oofballs out and work out with kids. I've done some things with some different companies in the area of LA, and they're like, Steve, can you work out with a group? Sure. So I'll go out and we'll just have fun working out. So I enjoy it. But it's Oofball. So 3 O's, OOOF ball. And that's also, you can find them on Instagram. But I support it, and I mean, I love it because it's all about health and wellness and doing something that'll make you happy, something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I think a lot of times what's lost in the shuffle when it comes to professional athletes is that they don't understand that a lot of us, we're big on education also, you know, and we're big on that part of it. You know, you're a family man. I know your wife; she's absolutely amazing. She helps keep you in your place. So, what do you think is one of the biggest things that athletes, not only from the U.S. but individuals from Africa, from all over the world, from your experiences, what do you think they can do now in this climate that we're in? You know,
man, yeah. You talk about the climate. You know, it's challenging. It's tough. And I remember being in LA during the uprisings, you know, after the Rodney King. And I mean, I grew up in that area. You know, it's important to have to find some sort of a common ground. I mean, unless you can find some common ground, it's going to be pretty difficult. And fortunately for me, athletics and track and field allowed me to get that common ground. So the common ground for me was the track and field that I ran on every day as a professional athlete. And, you know, one of my greatest experiences, you know, I grew up in South Central, but in the '88 Olympics, you know, I remember before all my races, we had the Olympic Village where all the athletes lived together. It was just a community built for the athletes all over the world. So you might have the Spanish volleyball team in a building next to the American soccer team.
The women's volleyball team or the men?
Any of them. So it was just you
Oh.
have every compound. And so it was amazing, man. You have all these people with one common goal. We're Olympians, right? You know, you've been there. And every night before my race, I would walk around the village. And felt like I was, traveling the world in one night, right? So I hear all these people speaking in their native tongue, and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing, right? We all came together for something positive, right? And so, and from that, I took away from that is like, we're all the same. It's a human race, right? And so we need to work together to make things better. And I do like what I see now with you see a lot of nationalities, a lot of folks from different demographics coming together. They're listening to each other, right? There's dialogue, there's communication, and we want things to be better. So I'm hopeful, and it will be better.
I found that having different people that's around you. So I give you an example, like, if we was to go over to Europe and it's like we having a good time, on one end we might have K Young might be like, hey man, let's go. But on the other end, you might have Mike Morris that be like, man, we might want to just chill. Did you find that being the case? Like you got so many people that's keeping you have a balance where one person is like, man, you just made $10,000. Let's go spend $3K. And then you got somebody else saying, man, I ain't spending nothing. I'm gonna go eat inside the cafeteria. How did that help you out when you was traveling and everything?
Helped a lot, man. We talk about so I'm surrounded by other athletes with different temperaments. Like Mike Marsh, real conservative, right? And then Kevin Young and I, we just like to go out and party. And then Danny Everett on the other hand, he like, okay, y'all, Steven, you gotta take it easy, right? So that was the balance, right? And so I think it's important to have a balance. And again, we talk about the culture of an organization. That was our club. And it was very important that we had the balance, right? Because we all didn't need to be extreme in one way or the other. But I think because we're all different, we brought a lot to the table and just allowed all of us to be better.
Today's Father's Day, man. I look back and I think about why a lot of the individuals from the Santa Monica Track Club are so successful. And I'm thinking, like, you look at Johnny, he's been married to his wife forever, and they got 3 or 4 boys. And then yourself, you and your wife, and you got 2 girls, and Mike and his wife, and Leroy's over there. So my point is, how important has it been having? Because a lot of those women were with you and with us during those times. How important do you find that to be?
Well, they keep you grounded. I mean, the family just in general, right? So we're going to have ups and downs, challenges, right? And so it's a lot of peaks and valleys in life. And so, I mean, even when I think about my career as an athlete, I had my highlights and I had my lows. I mean, there was a time when I was sick in 1990. I was sick for a year. Right. And, I didn't think I would ever come back, right? And no one knew what was going on with me. Fortunately, by the grace of God and the support of family, obviously, I was able to go back and win a couple more medals in the 92 Olympics. After that, I was living in Los Angeles during the 94 earthquake and fell down the stairs and, messed my back up, had to put some screws in, and that ended my running career. I was in my prime. I was 25 years old. But again, it goes back to your family and those that support you to keep you, right? Because, life is hard. But, I just try to keep a pretty even keel. I have the support of my family, obviously, as well. And that just helps me to push through it. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, just a family unit, right? I mean, just your friends, the people like you, you're my brother. And, you help me and family helps you get through the challenges.
What I find?
It keeps you humble when you try to be too high up in the,
You know what I found to be one of the most challenging things?
Yeah.
When you've been at the Olympic Games or you won a medal, I never won, but you won a medal. When you've made the money you made during those times, and then you come to the real world, and you're looking at a situation in which you're getting paid way less than you've already made. You have supervisors.
That's right.
That's that you might feel like you have more credibility than they do. How's that adjustment? Because a lot of pro athletes are struggling with that. A lot of them struggle with the mental aspect, with depression, suicide, because coming from the athletic standpoint where they was on such a high level, and now they're having to report to individuals whom they might think they shouldn't have to report to, or they have to work for an amount that they was making more than in 19 and 20. How do you navigate that life when you're starting to feel down and sad and the sport's not there for you no more?
So the hardest thing for athletes is transitioning from to life after the sports. Because think about it, most of the time you don't leave sport on your terms. You either get injured or there's someone that's faster and stronger than you in the other lane in the next heat, right? It's really important to, when you're an athlete, is to start planning and preparing for the future. And you want to, again, surround yourself with advisors that have your best interest at heart. Fortunately for us, we had Joe Douglas, which is the manager and the coach at Santa Monica Track Club, and he was, always on us about being fiscally responsible. Always trying to think about, well, what are you going to do when you're done? Because if you're not, if you don't prepare and plan, basically prepare to fail.
Yeah.
So, for me personally, I just kind of surrounded myself by people, and going back to Mike Marsh, I mean, he was a great example for me as well. He's like, Steve, you want to invest and do this and that. And, Johnny, he basically encouraged me to get my first piece of property, right? And so, again, surrounded by certain people that get you to that point, because, I mean, it is hard when you life after sport, you're working for people. You used to deal with the coaches and what have you. Now you have managers and bosses and what have you. And, it's challenging. But I think it's important, again, we talked about mindset earlier. You just have to just change that mindset. Okay, so this is my life now, and this is the adjustment that I have to make so that I can, again, be successful as I was when I was on the field or on the track.
I remember one race I had in Belgium where I was running. I didn't feel like running that day for whatever reason. I was running, and I was literally looking for a place to step off the track. So I'm looking. I didn't want to twist my ankle, so I didn't want to step on the bar. So I'm looking to make sure I can step off in a safe place. And right when I'm finna get ready to step off, somebody say, "Go, Katie!" I said, "I can't step off now." Some girl looking. So I kept running. I end up running away, right? But I thought that only happened to me or certain people. But I remember one day you told me, you said you was in a race, man, and you was warming up, and you was like, "Man, I want to twist my ankle or something. I'm just so nervous. I don't feel like running." People need to hear that. Like, you're an Olympic champion, but you had the times in which you felt like, "Man, I'm too nervous. I don't feel like running."
Yeah, I tell you, man. Sometimes you have butterflies with skates on in my stomach. We're gonna. I mean, I can be at the highest level, ready, right? But sometimes I start doubting myself. But I've done it. Even in life after sports, I can't do it. But then you learn from that, right? And then, like, man, I can't believe I did that. As a matter of fact, a good example. I remember one race. I was in Zurich, and I just didn't feel like it that day. And I had two stories. I didn't feel like it that day. And Danny Everett was in the race. Antonio Pettigrew was in the race. And I just sat back. And then the athletes, they used to be taken out. So they kind of sat back and they realized it's just not going, right? And then they take off, right? Because they were dependent on me to take it out. Rabbit. He's but silly rabbit tricks are for kids. So anyway, but then, I come off the curve and then I basically decided to take off. And I ran well, but it was just one of those things, I just didn't feel it. Another time, I was at LHJ. I was 14 years old, and I was great as a kid. I ran fast. I won all my races. One day, I just wasn't feeling it that day, and I decided to just go high. I didn't even go to the track, right? So my coach, James Robertson, he warmed me up, and I'm going to go hide behind a building, right? And so I'm sitting there thinking about the things little kids think about, and after about an hour, I said, okay, I'm going to go back. I know my race is done. So I walk back. My coach runs up to me and he's like, "Oh, there you go. They just called your race." I'm like, oh. So needless to say, I had to go out there. I ran the race. I won the race, right? And this was, I was 14, but fast forward 5 years later, I remember being at the line at the Olympics in Korea, thinking about that moment when I doubted myself. And I said, no, I can't let that happen. And so that was just a learning moment for me. But it will happen. You will, have those moments where you doubt yourself.
Hey, I'll tell you this. Coaching and having people around you is important, especially when it comes to the champion's mindset. They help you with that mindset. Absolutely. Having a coach, having a mentor, having an accountability partner, having a consultant. Mm-hmm. One of the things I think you guys had was a youth coach at UCLA. I didn't know that, but I remember one time I was talking to John Smith, yes, and we was at a meet, he was telling me some information, and he started talking about all sorts of stuff, man. He was like, man, when you get ready to go, he started talking about sex and all sorts of stuff. Like, what is sex? And all this guy do with running, right? But after he finished, I was pumped. I'm like, man, you're right, man. You gotta be able to do this and do that and run. And I'm like, what is your experience with coaching and how they get into your mind for that winners and champions mindset? I didn't know what the hell John was talking about when he first started talking about. I'm like, man, what you talking about? I got a race tomorrow. You talking about how you got to maneuver it was, and then, but when he finished, I was hyped. What's your thoughts on that?
So John had a talent for getting me hyped. John would say certain things, and we joke about it. He's like, oh, yeah, run within yourself. And like, what do you mean run within myself? I don't want to run on track. And so but he would find ways to get you hyped, get in your head. He was really good at that. And he made me believe in himself, right? I mean, John was, he was our LA Jet coach, James Robinson. He would say certain things, he got us going. And, you know, sometimes you just need that spark. And then once you got it, you go. So, yeah, I had a lot. And Joe Douglas, on the other hand, my other coach, he wasn't like John or James, but, you know, in his own little way, he would go out there and then, you know, get in my ear and come and do certain things. But, yeah, John would get you hyped.
Joe used to have me laughing too much, man. That's the thing. One time I finished the race, it was at the World Championships. I got tears in my eyes. And I came back and I'm waiting on Joe. He's kneeling down, talking to Dion Minor. And he talked about 20, 30 minutes. So finally, I'm like, I got to cool down. So I go up to him, and Dion's getting a massage. So Dion's laying like this, getting a massage on his back. Dion like this, and Joe's sitting beside him talking to him for 30 minutes. So finally, man, I woke up, I tapped Joe on the shoulder. I say, Joe, man, you gonna come talk to him? He looked, oh, KD? Who is this? He was talking to me the whole time. So I went up to Dion, like, what was he saying? He said, man, I didn't know what Joe was talking about. He talking about I went out too fast, and I went out at 49. He said, I just kept getting my massage. But yeah, man, Joe used to have me really thinking, but he was also like a person that you knew really cared. I talked to Joe like last week. And that's what I liked about the coaches I had. The ones that worked best with me was the ones that I felt like cared. They say they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. And for me, that's something that really resonated. What would you say would be the biggest thing out of you that you've learned from all the big time? Because you know a lot of professional football players. You know, you're there in LA, basketball players. You've been around them. Your wife actually works at a place that has all those great, you know, athletes. Yeah. What would you say is the number one thing as far as having and developing the winners or champions mind?
One of the most important things to help develop that?
Or just have it, either way.
Well, for an athlete, I mean, obviously the mindset, if we go back to that, you got to have the support system, right? I mean, you know, a lot of things we think. So
what would you say, what was Kevin Young's, the world record holder, what was his mindset? Because Kevin always seemed like he was just like, you know.
That was different, right? So yeah, it's funny. So Kevin, you know, because Kevin grew up in Watts, and I mean, he lived right across the street from the Watts Tower and went to Jordan, and you know, he was just, I'm just gonna go double up and go solo, as we say. I'm gonna go out there and just do my thing. I think with most athletes, I mean, you know, you got to have a plan. And you have to execute that plan. I think for me, for example, I just wanted to go out there and you know, I was trying to beat Dan. You know, that was my target. And so eventually I'm gonna get him, right? And so you just have to have certain things that will drive you. You know, it's like certain people. You know, some people are running for times. A lot of times you can't run for times because, you know, if you try to try to get a certain time, it's not gonna happen. You know, you got to run your own race and it happens. Most people that set world records, they didn't go out there to go try to set that world record, because when you do, it never happens, right? Yeah. You see certain athletes, they'll run great races, shut it down at the end, but had they pressed, they would like broke the world record, right? But you don't plan, right? So you should always have to go out there and just perform how you need to perform at your best, and it will happen, right? And I think that's just with athletes across the board. So as long as you just go out there and execute, you know, whatever it is that motivates you, you need to use that to go out there to be successful.
You've been pretty successful outside of track with, I think you're doing, is it device sales now? You're doing
medical device
sales?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's very competitive, man. It's you're in LA, it's challenging,
Yep.
but you've been extremely successful. Have you taken some things from your professional track and field career to your business and your professional life now that helped in what you're doing now with myself?
Absolutely. So it's just the same things that I use to get me going as an athlete, right? My drive, my hard work, my dedication, again, that mindset. And I wake up every day, even now, and being in this medical device arena is, I'm going out there to get up to my competitor, right? I want to go out there and perform well. I mean, I like the accolades and all that as well. So I'm shooting for the same things I shot for when I was an athlete. And it was just that determination, that drive. It carries over. And that's why you see a lot of medical device companies liking, athletes, people in the military, right? People that were competitive, because you get that mindset, going back to that again, that will translate to other things. So yes, absolutely, I use that every day.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I remember being in Santa Monica and with you and Danny and Johnny and the whole nine. And I was just amazed on how hard everybody trained. I think we all kind of downplay. We all know we train hard, right? We all know we work hard. But I think a lot of times we don't give credit to other individuals how hard they actually work also. And to me, that was one of the biggest things I learned is that, like, man, I told people, I said, man, when I was first going, 600 meters, man, I don't know if I could beat you up to 600. You got to go past 600 meters. And people didn't believe me. I'm like, man, those guys are out there. Even Danny. I couldn't believe how hard Danny trained. And this is after he had an Achilles surgery, So I think that's one thing that I think is lost in the shuffle is that, you get a whole bunch of people that's talented, that's competitive together. It raises the bar. Is that what you found with the SMTC when you guys were traveling to these big meets back in the day?
Absolutely, absolutely. You, again, back to the company you keep, right? So we just drove each other, right? So we each other to that next level. I mean, just training with Danny every day, Kevin Young, Mike Marsh, and Henry Thomas on the track, man. We were out there, man. It was amazing.
That's a name. That's a name a lot of people don't hear a lot about. Everybody keeps saying that he was the real deal.
Henry?
Yeah.
Henry's the reason why I went to UCLA. I mean, Henry was the Henry the Heat Thomas in high school. I mean, he would just tear the track, and out of all of us, he was the one that they were, he's going to do all these things. But we all obviously had certain things that happen in life that just interrupt that. But no, Henry was the truth. And we had squad at UCLA. In fact, we were the first collegiate team to go sub 3 minutes in the mile relay. And that was with Kevin Young, Danny Everett, myself, and Henry Thomas.
But those 4 people, somebody y'all should have ran like 2:57, man. Well,
think about it. We could have. We could have. I mean, I think I ran first leg, and I only probably ran like a 40.9 come out the scratch, and then
40 who?
First leg,
49.
I ran 44. I could run a lot faster than that, but you respond to the talent that you're competing against. And it was at the national championships after all those rounds, obviously, but we could have gone fast. But even Danny, he only went 45 mid. He can go 43 mid. Same with Henry. He was going up against Mark Everett on anchor leg, but I mean, they both only ran, I think, 45s, but they both could go 43. So yeah, we definitely could have gone a lot faster than we did, but we won.
Yeah. So what's next for you, man? Like, I mean, the story's not finished. Yeah, like you said, you got 2 daughters. One's already graduated from college, correct?
Correct. Yeah, she went
to in high school. Is she in high school yet?
She starts this fall. Yeah, my little one. Yeah.
Yeah, she's still in high school. And so what's next for you, man? Because I always tell people, they say once an Olympian, always an Olympian. I say once world class, always world class. So just because you're no longer a world class athlete, you got to continue being a world class husband, a world class father, and a world class human being. So what's next for you?
It's all about legacy, right? And so I think as I move forward in life, trying to just, be better than I was the day before, set an example for my daughters, and that's the important thing. Obviously, I do miss the days of, running around the tracks and taking the victory laps and, and running for the big purses over in Europe and Monte Carlo and Switzerland. But, that's behind me, right? So I have some new chapters. So, I just want to make sure that my legacy is secure. I want to be remembered as someone that was just a hard worker and was a good example of those. So I give back to the community. I work with kids a lot still. So yeah, it's just moving forward and being better.
You look, you're still in pretty good shape. Both me and you like working out, man. So what do you right now in the 4? What do you think you can run?
In the 400, what can I run now? In my mind, I can run pretty fast. It really matters when I get out there.
Hey, that's dodging the question. It's a simple question, man. What could you run?
43.
I think. So I can go at least some low 50s. I don't know. It's not.
Say what?
I can go at 51, 50, something like that. I think, 50. Maybe
I'm gonna ask Johnny. I'm gonna be like,
I think the world record for my age bracket is probably, the 50 to 55. I think the world record is 50 seconds or 51. I don't know. I'm going to test that one day. Actually, I will run a 400 sometime in the near future, and I'm going to post it on social media.
You couldn't run a 50. You think you can run a 51? Right?
51 right now? Give me, let me get my track.
I said right now. I didn't say give you. I said right now.
I can run 52 right now.
You can't go solicit a coach and tell Joe to sit at the 200 meters and John Smith to be at the stop line, and then have Danny come out there and rabbit you, and then have Johnny pull you through and then say you ran 51. I say right now. Right now,
what do you think? What do you think you can run right now in the 400?
Oh, I can do that because you got to realize something. I'm at the college training the kids, so I'm running with them a lot. I just put on too much weight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you've been doing a lot of lifting. That's the thing.
I can probably go 55 seconds. I know right now. I can go all out 55 seconds right now.
Because you're more muscle now.
Yeah.
Way more than you was when you was running, right?
Yeah.
So that has, that'll have a little.
Yeah, you can run a lot of that weight on there, but if I gave myself a year, I can go a lot lower, faster, obviously. But Father Time catches up to you.
So your daughter, what event did she do?
So my oldest, she was 100, 200. Yeah.
All right. So you could stick with her in the 4 right now. Yeah,
only because she respects me. So she probably doesn't want to embarrass me, but I think I can. I think I can hang with. Yeah, I can hang with.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah, well, that's it, man. That's all I got for you. I'm gonna be back in LA. I gotta come out there and visit Joe, holler at Johnny, and the whole nine, man. And we gotta catch up, man. Yeah. Happy Father's Day, and tell your wife and everybody I said hi.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to you, man.
Well, gentlemen, we have zoned in on our online audience, and they have posed a question for both of you guys. They would like to know, what is the secret of success in sports and life?
Go for it, Katie.
All right. Well, the secret to success in sports and life, it's no one secret, but there's many that come together. You got to believe. You got to believe in something. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in God. You got to believe in the universe. You got to believe in something. You got to have belief. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that, here's the thing, 70 to 90% of success is following instructions. So you got to have either a mentor, a coach, or somebody. If you talk to Tiger Woods have a coach. He has a hitting coach. He's Tiger Woods. Talk to Tom Brady. Tom Brady has a throwing coach. He's Tom Brady. Muhammad Ali has a boxing coach. He's Muhammad Ali. So that's a clue. Success leaves clues. So get a coach or a mentor, someone who knows how to get there. And then the second thing is following it. 70 to 90% of success is following instructions. Most people won't do it. Some people would go to Tom McTrain with the Santa Monica Track Club, and they would ask us how we do stuff, and they'll want to do it different. Come on. Why would you go somewhere where it's been successful and just ignore the advice that's before that? If I was to go, when I first came out there and I was training with Steve Nem and Johnny Nem, and Johnny told me, okay, do good swing this way, I'm watching the 142 half miler. So why would I say, well, nah, I'm going to do it this way? It doesn't mean you don't put your unique spin on it, but you're increasing the probabilities of success. So to me, it's belief, finding out what you really want and who can do it and who can help you. So a coach, a mentor, a consultant, or an accountability partner, and sticking with them. Steve will tell you, we talk to each other about all sorts of stuff all the time, because that's what I believe works. So that's my advice to everyone.
Great. Definitely echo what Khadevis said. I think probably the best piece of advice I can say with trying to be successful is don't be afraid to fail, right? I think for me as a quarter miler, 400 meter, I had to go out many races hard and die a horrible death with until eventually I didn't die as much and I didn't die anymore, right? So you got to basically test your limits and, don't be afraid to fail, because unless you fail, what are you going to learn from, right? So, life is all about these learning moments, these learning experiences. So, go out there and test yourself, because if you don't, you're just you're like everybody else, right? So go out there and feel it, right? That lactic acid, it's there for a reason, right? At some point, you're going to be able to deal with that lactic acid a little bit better as you go out hard and, test yourself all the time. So don't be afraid to fail, because you learn from that. You learn from everything.
You guys covered a lot of activity, much more than I would have loved to have happened, and so that's awesome. One of the things I must say as well is that I know that I told KD, but I haven't told you, Steve, that Johnny Gray is my favorite 800 meter athlete. Oh. So shout out to him for his birthday. Yes, he actually was the athlete that got me watching 800 meters. It's, as a sprinter, it is that you're more in tune to, well, some persons, as to myself, I'm more in tune to watching the sprints, but Johnny Gray put a whole new spin on running and competing in the 800 meter. And so he was the first athlete to have me start watching the 800 meter. So birthday shout outs to Johnny, and happy Father's Day as well. Yeah. So to our listening audience, we thank you for tuning in and lending to us your listening ear. Do check us out each and every week. Next week we are going to be at the same place, same time, but of course with a different guest. It will be Jamie Nieto. Am I saying his name correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah, Jamie Nieto. He will be joining the conversation 3 p.m. June 28th on SportsWorld 2020. Don't forget to reach out to us. Feedback is always important. We do accept social media shout outs. So guys, can you kindly share your social media handles with our online listening audience?
Everything is at Khadevis for me, with Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Khadevis.com is my website.
So for me, so on the Facebook, it's just Steve Lewis. And then for Instagram, it's Steve Lewis 400. So Steve Lewis 400.
Awesome. So this is your moderator, Rose Green, and your host, Khadevis. KD, saying continue to exercise love, peace, and prosperity wherever it is that you are. Here at SportsWorld 2020, it is our desire to be the best at what we do. Within the next few weeks, we vow to bring to you a professional sporting forum. Your host, two-time Olympian Khadevis Robinson, will be conducting brief interviews that are relative to operational, mental, psychological, and financial issues relevant to all sports. SportsWorld 2020 is an A-plus stellar collaborative space authenticating and supporting all athletes as we work to strengthen the efforts of amateur elites and professional athletes across the globe. If you would like to be a part of our sporting initiative, please connect with us at SportsWorld 2020 via Facebook at SWorld 2020.